All right, Samantha.
Yes.
Samantha, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Uh, I was I was born in New Mexico, but I was raised right here in Los Angeles.
And tell me about your family.
The woman who took me in, she was a high school teacher at Hollywood High. She didn't really have much.
She took you in, meaning your
She
mom lost you.
ended up adopting me somehow. Um, Man, okay. My biological grandmother basically took me out of a drug house. I was in a drawer. I wasn't being taken care of at all. My biological grandmother worked at CYFD in that town. So she was able to quietly and very quickly get me out of that house and get me out of that town. I was taken to a woman, and she took me from El Paso Airport in Texas and took me to Los Angeles and basically raised me here.
And how was your childhood with her?
It was rocky solely because she was actually very progressive and very strong for her. She was strong-willed. She's great. She was raised in a tiny town in Santo, very racial. She got out of it, came to Los Angeles, met a black man in the 90s that wasn't perfect. She had to cut her ties with her family because she wanted to be with a black man. And they didn't get married for a really long time for it. I was never adopted by him because of it. Growing up in the 90s with that racial tension here made it extremely hard. And kids are mean. They're just asking honest questions. But for somebody like me, why is this black man picking you up? You know, you're a little white girl. I'm obviously not black. So it just always raised questions. People would stop us on the street all the time to make sure I was safe. It was ugly going into restaurants. Oh, you look just like your mother. She didn't look anything like me. It was just because we were both white. So people were just ugly. And it didn't help that it was a constant reminder for me that I didn't belong there. So I left home really early, really early. Let me back up a little bit. When she got me, she took me to the hospital because my head was flat, my neck was kinked. It seemed like I was pretty abused. So it is my idea that my grandmother was trying to hide something and just kind of get me out of there. Hush, hush. My neck still is kinked to this day. So there was some damage that was done. The woman who got me massaged my head until it was round again. So there was a lot of trauma that happened already from Jump Street. Then there was this racial war that was going on kind of inside of, society, and then it affects our little family that we had. I didn't have any sisters, aunts, uncles, anybody to grow up with because of the segregation almost in, yeah.
But
It
your
really,
adopted parents were good?
they did the best. I went to magnet schools out here. I went to really good
But you
schools.
ran away from your family early.
Yes,
Why'd you do that?
I didn't feel connected there. They kind of had their own, I had a lot of problems, and they didn't know how to help me too. And I think I maybe did a part of that. I felt really alone
And where'd you
with
go?
them.
Where'd you go?
I started living on the streets when I was 13 here in Los Angeles. They tried to help me. They put me into a Reseda psych ward, right here, Reseda, and I AWOL'd.
You were into drugs?
Yes, I started using drugs in high school. And anything. I mean, these morning glory flowers, that are just grow out, just take those, boil them, drink it. Yeah, and we would just trip balls for a couple of days, 13, 14. Yeah, on the streets in Los Angeles. So in order to
how are you supporting yourself?
We're stealing food, mostly, and we would all share. There was a group of, I was the only kid, though. I was the only kid. They were all older. I lied to them. I was 15 doing this. And so the state is not going to I'm going to keep getting arrested, right, and picked up when you're that young. They were 18, some were even 21, 23. We're all just living on the streets together. We lived in the wash in a tent. I remember we would take a cart and we would just cook food we would tip the cart over and we would cook food on the cart like that. Really young. I was really young. Stealing alcohol. Most of those people are actually dead now. So.
Where'd your life go from there? Did you finish high school?
Yes, actually I did.
With that lifestyle?
I was picked up and institutionalized for 2.5 years, and I was able to lose myself in school. So I did miss a lot of my high school. I was in and out of the Reseda institution. I took a Greyhound bus and squatted in New Mexico with a kid for about 6-7 months, got arrested out there, got brought back to California because, but I lived I was pretty wild when I was young. So I shaved my head in order to live in that. I stopped showering. So I was a child hobo, just as nasty as you can get. And that was the safest I could be, too. So the grosser I was, the better. Finally, I was arrested and taken to a place called Provo Canyon School. And the average stay there is, I believe, 6 to 9 months. I was hoping that I was going to get out eventually. They never wanted to tell me that they were going to keep me there until I was 18. Right when I got in, they shaved my head. I heard about other girls getting their heads like completely shaved. I had a mohawk. So when I wore it down, though, I still had hair. So I still looked like a girl with a mohawk or not. All of my hair was gone. I had nothing. They put you in sweats, all the same color sweats, just a sweat. Top, sweat, bottoms. They completely stripped me naked. The people that worked here, the strangest part about this school, this institution, is what it was. It's a mental health institution, and for kids. And the strange thing is that the people that worked there, the staff, were all fresh out of high school. They were going to BYU. They had little life experience. Don't know why these kids were in charge. They were, I don't know anything, and I'm 33, So I just don't understand how 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds could help children that have been severely traumatized by lots of it. There are girls there with trichotillomania, pull out all of their hair. These are girls that were traumatized and needed help. Therapists came in and we had groups and we had stuff like that, but there weren't therapists there 24/7. There's staff, there's children, probably maybe going for some sort of therapeutic thing. Who knows what they were going to school for? It was probably just an easy job, an inside job. And get to babysit kids, but that's how they looked at it. They babysat us. That's not what all of these kids or what the parents think is going on either. They think they are sending their kid to get help, okay? And it doesn't, it's.
So you got out of there at 18.
Yeah, they made me
Then
stay
what?
there until I was 18. And they, I just wanted to say this too, they tube fed me when I was well of weight, like probably 140. To give that I'm about 130 right now, just to give that they would tube feed me, and they would leave a tube on the side of my face and tape it, and then just pour Boost down it 3 times a day. Yeah. And the tube would just be stuck in your throat. So all day you have to gag, like something's in your, so with a shaved head and a tube, this place is really strange. You see it on sci-fi movies, you know, how they shave little kids and they put them in, you know, and they do strange things to them. But no, that really happens a lot. And the state pays for it.
So when you finally got out of there, what'd you do with your life? You're basically an adult.
I am an adult. And one of the main reasons why they took me to this place was because I didn't have a place to. I was so wild that I just lived on the streets. They had to keep me there. So because of that, right? And because I was a little, you know, I mean, he lives on the streets. I must be a little crazy, right? I was still on the streets when they didn't help me like get a place or they just kept me until my 18th birthday. Luckily, I graduated, top of my class, even took a lot of courses at BYU. And I was able to just do schoolwork constantly there, really, really. That's all I did there. So I excelled in that. More of a, I got out, I was still homeless though. Got a van, started living in California, started doing drugs. It's not like that place helped me with anything. So I was still the same, I still had the same issues. The abandonment issues, the connection I needed, as a familial connection I needed, was I think taken to me really by society, just how ugly society was. I think I could have maybe progressed really well with them, even if they were alone with no, you know, siblings or anything. I got out in 2007. Market crashed here in 2008. It was ridiculous. So I decided to move to New Mexico, where it was cheaper. I knew my biological family lived there. And I kind of wanted to have some sort of connection. And it was cheap. I was able to buy a house in Carlsbad, New Mexico for $60,000 when I was 19. Yeah, so moved out there. Found out my biological family is real messed up. So I ended up on, you know, out here I was doing psychedelics, smoking a lot of weed. Out there it was meth. It was harder drugs. So, started shooting up meth. And my veins were gone, which happens to a lot of women. Our veins aren't as ropey as you know, men veins. We don't have it like that. So women, I think, deteriorate a little bit faster when they start using the needle than men do. I was only using the needle for a few months and my veins were blown. I had to flip upside down and blow out my neck vein like that in order to hit. I am 20 years old and I'm in a really, there's predators. I mean, there's predators everywhere, right? But they especially love it when You're alone, and you have to flip upside down and trust somebody will hit your vein right and puts you in a really vulnerable position. So I was in that vulnerable position, as a lot of women are. And I ended up, I killed a man who gave me way too many drugs when I was flipped upside down. Took me out into a garage outside of town. And he gave me his truck to leave. It was really strange. He was high too, though. I believe he had some frontal lobe damage from a motorcycle accident. So he wasn't all there doing drugs with me, and I wasn't all there because I was doing, drugs with him. And man, he died. He ended up dying.
How'd you kill him?
I stabbed him. I stabbed him in the chest one time.
For what purpose? For what reason?
Well, he asked me to, if you want me to be really honest. He asked me to. We were fighting over his vehicle. He took me out to his garage and promised me that he had water jugs out there because my water had just gotten shut off. He did not have water jugs out there. He worked for the oil field. A man started banging on the garage door, saying that he needed to go to work. Thankfully, because he had a mallet in his hand. And the last thing he told me was, you're gonna need this, or you're gonna need some like self-defense. You're gonna need, that's what he implied to me. And he kept trying to touch me. I think he thought that since he gave me dope and he gave me a lot of it, that I would sleep with him. But it had the adverse effect. It was more of a super paranoid, don't touch me. Why did you give me so much drugs? Why are we now out in the middle of nowhere with no water? Paranoia. So I can't promise that paranoia was real. Does that make sense? And maybe that's just my own guilt. But I'm pretty sure lying to a girl, giving her a lot of drugs, taking her out into a garage where there's no water. And I ended up having to take his truck. That guy came to come get him for work. It was in the middle of the night too, so I'm assuming he worked graveyard. Yeah, it's a really strange, we're all high, so nothing kind of really makes sense. We're not doing anything logically. Why he took me out to that garage if he knew he had to go to work is weird. Then he had to give me his truck. Well, why did you do that to me? So in my mind, I'm gonna hide this truck. Teach him a lesson. I'll give it back to him eventually. I don't need his truck, Well, we're all high, so that was my plan. We were gonna get his truck back, but...
Did you get caught?
Did I get caught what?
You murdered somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get caught?
Oh yeah, I got charged for it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I told the police what happened. I said this guy gave me a lot of drugs, took me out in the middle of nowhere and lied to me. So I hit his truck, just like a, fuck you. How dare you do that to me? What was all that about? And when the, fight ensued, he died. He was like, stab me. You won't do it. And, you stupid bitch, you won't do it. Do it. You won't fucking stab me. Well, I did. I guess it doesn't seem very logical, but I was high. And I was scared. And I was just given a bunch of drugs. And this guy's angry at me now. I was trying to get his truck back for him, okay? He was at my house. Where's my truck? I was like, all right, fine, I'll give it to you. All right. Said, hey, will you go? He didn't want me to leave. He's like, I don't want you to leave. You're going to stay here with me until I get my truck back. We had somebody else who was very high go get the truck.
How much time did you get?
I got 6 years flat, 2 on parole. They charged me with first-degree premeditated murder. I fought it in trial for 18 months. They gave me a shit attorney that was dying. He died shortly after my trial, heart complications. So they gave me this attorney that didn't do anything, probably got paid, I'm pretty sure he got paid the same, regardless. He didn't put on any defense, except that the guy that I killed was a known registered sex offender. He was a known pedophile in that town. He is actually known for drugging girls and doing that exact thing. So that was in my favor. And I was scared when it happened. I was high when it happened. Yeah, nobody can, it could have happened to anybody is what I'm saying. Any girl high, like on this Skid Row street right now. It could happen to any of them. And then they'll pay for it. Dearly, dearly. I was in the interrogation room, so messed up. I was passing out on the interrogation. I couldn't even open a bottle of water because my hands were so swollen. Remember, I have no circulation, all the needle use. So my hands are swollen, my feet are swollen. The cop asked me if I'm okay. I said, no, I am not okay. And yeah, I was charged with first-degree murder for that. To top it off, when they put you in prison, they categorize you by charges. So if you're in there for murder, you know, then you're in there with all the other murderers. And I don't necessarily know if I really kind of fit the murder type, you know? I mean, I did live a really wild life, but not like that. I didn't think I was ever gonna kill anybody. Does that make sense? These girls in here, absolutely. Some of them are insane. And yeah, that's when you realize that the prison is just a mental health crisis. It's just a bunch of people with trauma, you know. I hate the saying, you know, hurt people. Yes, that's exactly what happens. You don't have to hurt people if you're hurt, but that's the only way it happens. And yeah, a lot of, when you're thrown into a position where you're going to need to be in there for a while. Then you kind of switch up who you are, right? If you're going to be put in a cage, you know, like an animal, you're probably going to start acting and behaving as such. So that's what I did. That's what I did in there. I survived great, I think. But I was tattooing. I was fighting for minimal things. I've gouged out eyes. I did horrible things in there. And horrible things were done to me as well. Got a concussion. I had to go to the medical ward for a while to even my head and my body weren't connected, I guess you would say. I was knocked, my head was knocked. So in order for me to like walk proper, you can't go back out into population if you can't walk right. So I turned into a complete animal. And then it makes you kind of question if you are that, I think I have to fight every day. Like I'm not a monster. I don't think so. I just think I needed help. I think I needed help when I was really young, and I didn't get it. When I was institutionalized 3 times, 4 times before I was 15, I was seeing all these therapists, probably wrongly diagnosed, It seems like this is a story that happens with so many people, but mine is just an extreme, teenagers all have, hormonal issues and get a little wild, but do parents, send their kid off to one of these residential schools? Do you look into the residential school? Does it have a long history of abuse, child abuse? Do they lock kids in cement rooms with nothing? Now here's the crazy part about prison and Provo. Prison, we had beds in our cells when we were in trouble. Even our dry cells. When you'd keister things, they would put you in a dry cell to force you to take stuff out of you, whatever that is. Me, it would mostly be motors. I'm a tattoo artist. So they would put you in a dry cell, but you'd still have a cot and a sink and a toilet. In Provo, as a 15-year-old girl, which there's lots of girls there, you're just on a nothing. They give you nothing. You're on the floor in a cement cell in there, and they'll leave you in there for hours, sometimes naked. Forcing showers on the kids. So this institution is doing this thing when I was a child, and then this institution is a totally different monster. It's almost like I was prepped. Like this, the state kind of prepped me for that, and I was just easy pickings by the time I was an adult. And you're high and you're getting preyed on by a man that's twice your age who is a predator. Because I said the wrong thing to the cop when I was high, I got charged with first-degree murder because of that. So I was just easily preyed on, I think, from Jump Street, really. From birth with CPS, doing that strange adoption over state lines that makes no sense. To child institutions, to prison, kind of set you up. It seems like everybody's kind of making money off of trauma.
You've been out for how many years now?
I've been out for 6 years, 4 off of parole.
Where's your life stand now? Do you have kids?
I have a child. I have 1 son.
You're raising him?
Yes. Mm-hmm. With his father. We live on the lake. I need to kind of be alone, so I live away from people, really peaceful. I don't know if that's maybe good for everybody, but it's really peaceful, and that's all I care about. On the lake, in the middle of Texas.
And your life is better now? No drugs?
No, I smoke weed, but no drugs.
And looking back at this crazy past of yours, looking back at your past, do you blame your parents? Do you blame the environment you were in, your DNA? What do you?
There's a lot of circumstances. I blame, the nature versus nurture question. That's a big one with me because I wasn't raised with, the nature.
Right.
I believe that the circumstances adopting a kid isn't what it's cracked up to be. I don't think that's the answer. People think it is. Adopting a potentially damaged psychologically or physically, adopting, that's a big responsibility. I don't think people really grasp the severity of being, abandoned as a child. It's detrimental, yeah. It's seriously traumatizing, and I think it's kind of minimized, maybe. I'm sure you've seen it a lot doing what you do. I'm sure half the people in here are adopted, but right. It is a small percentage, though, at the same time. So there was that. It was the racial. I didn't feel a part. It connected to a family which I probably needed desperately. Being, I should not have went to her. The way I was. Well, I guess we could root this all to CYFD corruption. Really, that's where it all started. That's where my trauma started. Was me coming out of a junkie home, abused, and then somehow going across state lines and getting to a woman who she was under the impression that I didn't have any other family. I have a brother. I have a whole other family that I just disappeared from. They had no idea what happened to me. So how I ended up with a woman who was just a teacher at Hollywood High, grew kind of in the slums, really. Remember sewer everywhere. We would step on plastic lids, Tupperware lids, to walk across, and this was when I was 3, 4. She was basically dying of melanoma cancer as well. How I was able to, not saying that she didn't do the best that she could, you see what I mean, but how I was able to end up with her. Was probably the first start of a roller coaster events of not making much sense.
And you mentioned how you like to be isolated now as an adult. What other effects have your childhood had on you?
Oh, yeah. I like to, coming out here, super stressful, super stressful. There's a lot of people. I am just going to say it like this. You know what? We actually all, I'm not going to beat myself up over this, okay? Everybody's got a little bit of monster in them, all right? And mine comes out a little bit quicker. So I decide to isolate myself, not for, yes, for my sanity, but maybe for somebody else too, you know? If I'm out here and let's just say, I'm not in the right, I'm not in the happiest mood, I'm not, something's not, and I'm pushed the wrong way, I will lash out violently. So, I don't want to be a violent person. I'm not in prison anymore. I don't need to gouge somebody's eyes out,
And Samantha, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in all of this?
I really just don't want to do the same thing to my child. Being isolated, not having family support, not having, I just want, you got to start with the children, right? That's it, really. You got to start with the children. Because if you, the only thing I've learned is, taking care of don't want to grow up and be an ugly person and hurt people that, potentially didn't deserve it, maybe, nobody deserves to get your traumatic bullshit off your chest on somebody else. Does that make sense? You see what I mean? That's the only thing I've learned, is to treat our children right. Listen to them. Because I was struggling, really, really, I was struggling as a child. I was screaming out, lashing out. I mean, gosh, I was living in a tent and I was so young. Dangerous out here for, little girl in Los Angeles to live like that. I'm surprised I'm alive. So, screaming out for help. And maybe the drug use, just maybe all of this other self-destructive stuff is that people do. Self-destruct and out, this is outer too, it affects we all affect everyone. Everything I did as a kid, everything I did as an adult. At times I feel like I was forced to kind of turn into an animal to fit into that mold that I was in. You don't have to. I guess you just gotta know how to control your animal. And if you can't control it, then go live out on the lake where it's really peaceful and you hear birds outside and,
All right, Samantha, thank you so much for sharing your story. Mm-hmm. Wish you the best of luck now. Thanks.
I wish I could wake up and it'd be all a dream. I wish that I was a little girl again.
All right, Denise. Denise, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Denver, Colorado.
Tell me about your family growing up.
It was kind of hard. I had a single mom. My mom was a single parent. And it was okay as we were younger. But as we got older, as for me, I got into a lot of responsibilities that I didn't feel like I should have. My mom, she started going out a lot, and she would come home late, and it would be different men with her. And I guess being the oldest girl, they figured it was okay, her men friends feel like it was okay to make a pass at me. But my mom would never believe me for some reason. I always thought because she treated me so different was because of my dad. When they were together, he used to be abusive to her. And then after he left, it's like, it was my fault, I think. As I got older and having the men touch me and trying to talk to somebody about it, it didn't do no good, I was scared to tell any authority about being touched. So I kind of hid it, and as I got 14 and 9 months, I left home. I've been on my own since I was 15. And I thought that being with a man was where I would find comfort and security at, and I never did. And I haven't till this day. I've been molested. I just wish I could break free from the things that I've been through. I left Colorado running from an abusive guy. And it just seemed like the flashbacks of being out here, and I still think it's okay for a man to touch me. It's not, because it's not real. I know I don't understand, like, I haven't contacted my mom. I haven't had any, like, communication really since I was 23. I'm 51. It's like, I'm just here by myself, you know. I ask myself why, but who's to ask why, and I don't get no answer back. I just think that my mom not listening to me and going through, like, being touched, and my older brother even touched me. He's gone now. Would there be any truth on my side, or would they just think that I was saying things for attention? I have 4 children. My oldest died. All different men, but it didn't get no better, because it was like I was a whore. I was just sleeping around with men. Like, it wasn't like that. I just wanted someone to care about me, to make me feel okay. I've tried, like, to talk to women in groups, but it doesn't seem like any of them have been where I've been, you know. Having men touch you and you're so afraid to say something. I can't, like, when I sleep at night, I have, like, nightmares of, like, flashbacks of different men and places I've been. Sometimes I feel like I'm worthless, you know. I got introduced to drugs by the men. They give it to me and say it will make me feel better, and it didn't do anything really but just ruin my life. Leaving here and being there, you think that you get away from one abusive, it's like always abuse behind it. If you don't want something, it happens anyway, you know. And I don't think that anyone would find the truth because of the way my life's been. I've been here, there, sleeping, prostituting my body for drugs because I'm addicted. I have grandbabies now I don't even get to see. They don't know me, you know. Like, it was like I'm an outcast. Like, nobody was believed Denise, what Denise has to say. I mean, do I be quiet? I'm 51 years old who wants to listen. I have one girl, and I hope she doesn't go through what I've been through. You know, not having a mom around. You run to all the wrong things. I'm scared to be by myself. I don't like the abuse, but being alone, I don't like neither. Sometimes I just accept the things, you know. I wish I could wake up and it'd be all a dream. I wish that I was a little girl again. Sorry.
It's all right. Drugs have been a part of your life?
A part of my life since I was 15. I was introduced to crack cocaine at 15 years old by one of the men I thought was protecting me. It was fine at first. It was like, like a big uncle, and then it was like touching, and it's okay to make you feel better. It doesn't. I have COPD behind smoking, where I take inhalers and a breathing treatment every other day, and it leads into what you call drug-induced seizures. And it's like I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. I just wish I could have a normal life, you know, away from the street life. It's like, it's scary when I sell my body for my addiction, because I've been through so much. Like, I've been raped, I've been left for just, oh well, one guy see my stretch marks and got mad at me, and he used tools and put tools inside of me and told me that I was an unfit mother. In a closet, I'm gonna come out, but I'm scared. I've been a little bit everywhere. I've been to Seattle.
You're living on Skid Row?
Yeah, I'm on Skid Row.
Where do you stay?
I've been there since December.
Where are you staying, in a tent, or do you have an apartment?
I finally got a tent, and it's a little dome tent, and actually I just tripped into it like 4 days ago and broke the little arch. It's the black thing right there is bigger than my tent. I have things inside holding it up, cardboard holding it up.
Are you still entertaining men for money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, there's a couple of men that in my past have tried to just take me away, but I don't know what is right and what's wrong. You know, I think it's so scary. I say no, or I say yeah. When I say yeah, I sabotage it because I don't know if it's for real or not. Sometimes I think I'm gonna get paid, the money gets taken back, and you can't call the police, you know, and say yeah, because what I'm doing is wrong anyway. They really don't care about us on Skid Row, the ones. I mean, I don't feel like I'm being, my background, like, you tell them what you've been through. Like, I'm physically, mentally, I'm scorned, you know. I'm scared of men, but I draw to them because I want to feel protected. And it turns into all for their need. You know, some of them got to be abusive. Some of them I stayed with. If I didn't do this right, I wouldn't be able to eat. Let's just steal out stores. I mean, I don't even know how to carry myself like a 51-year-old should, because I'm still lost. No, I didn't raise my kids.
How many kids do you have?
Huh?
How many kids do you have?
I had 4. My oldest son died of fentanyl. It was his first time. His first time was his last time. And that was 3 years ago, and I haven't even dealt with none of that. He was my first. He was like my little doll, you know. I loved him, and he loved me. I think that's the most love I've ever felt, other than my grandfather when he died when I was 19. But when my son passed away, I just, giving up, even though I have the other kid, he's not there, you know. I still think about him, and out here I see boys. My son would have been 35, August 27th. And my mom, I was out here in 2003. I came back here because it was something I felt safe to be at after being gone. I couldn't even reach my kids if I wanted to because their last name's Ward. And I just found that out like 2 years ago. I have a family that I would like to get to know. A family, my children. Am I gonna just be lost forever, you know? I don't know. Can a girl that's a woman now forgiven for sleeping with all kind of men? I don't know. But it makes me feel ugly and used. You know. I've got to, you know, I look at my hands, I look at my scars from getting hit on or trying to get away. I wish I didn't have them. There's some tissue.
Sure.
I tried to quit the drugs. It just, the memory, remembering what I've been through hurts so much. I just want to medicate everything away.
If you had your life to live all over again, what would you have done differently?
I probably would have made the decision that I did. I really don't know. Because at one time, I was like my mom's right hand. She was my everything. I wanted to be just like my mom. And I kind of did turn out like her. Like, she worked in a bar. I worked in clubs. She was a waitress. I was a dancer. She made fast money with selling weed. I tried to sell drugs, even though I was using them like behind the scene. Nobody knew. Nobody knew until I was 23. I just let him know when I started. I would wear 2 pair of pants, try to cover it up, you know. My daughter seen it. She seen that, like, my normal weight is 210. And I'm like 132 now. So I don't even feel like I'm half of a person I used to be. You know, as you get older, it's hard to gain the weight and to keep the weight at a, yeah. I feel worthless unless I'm all in disguise and people are paying attention to me just because of the way I look or for something that they want.
What would you say is your biggest regret?
My biggest regret was leaving home. When I started running away, looking for love in all the places, looking for love in men. I just wish, like, I let my children do, but I wish I wouldn't have had them. Like, I was a single mom, had 3 kids at 19 and my last at 21. So, that was hard. I think if I would have waited and did like find a man as I got older, like I dropped out of school, I only finished 9th grade. I'd be looking like, I look at people I went to school with, or I see people my age and what they have and what I don't have. And
What are you afraid of? What do you worry about now?
worry about my children or my grandbabies knowing me, like my children forgiving me and not knowing my grandbabies. I have 6 grandbabies, 1 grandson and 5 granddaughters. They don't even know me. They think my mom is grandma. I'm grandma and she's Nana. I'm afraid to even face them, like, to tell them I'm their grandma. I don't look like a grandma. I look like some of the streets that they see on TV.
Do you have any good memories of your life?
Yeah. Like, when I was young, we took pictures at Kmart. I used to go to the park with them and make hot dogs. I took them to the zoo. And when Tashana was 8 and Derica was 9, I disappeared for 12 years. Running. Just to run back to the same thing. I mean, I got married at one time to my pastor's son, and he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde himself. It was like everything that I did was not right, you know. He had the silver spoon in his mouth. I had the plastic spoon, as to say, you know. I was never good enough. You know, they always complained. It was his parents and him did everything, like payment pay, so they had the choice to come over and tell us this and that. He was younger than me. I just thought I'd marry. I married for money and see if I had support, is what it was. We only had 1 kid. The other 3 were just a package with me. And that didn't work. It's like my past, I thought that I could bury the past, and it kept coming up, you know. People find out that I used to hoe, I used to dance, prostitute, and it made them, you know, it made the church family look bad. So, me and religion to this day, I'm just like, huh. I know there's something higher, of course, but as for me, because they overlooked it, nobody's seen what I went through.
Do you have friends now?
Associates, I say. I have Miss Jackie. I call her Mama Jackie. She stays in the Ford. I have Stacks. I just met the lady. I have a few people that I can talk to, but like some of them are even abusive, meaning they say harmful things, like, and it brings back memories, you know. I try to say to myself, but don't say too much to myself. You know how Skid Row is. You better fit in or drown, one of them. Mm-hmm. I don't like the rats and I don't like the roaches. I mean, we don't have them in Denver, where I was. We had little roaches. These were like power roaches. Right? Mm. And the mice, they're not scared of you. When I hear, it's just like, you know, I've never had to live like I'm living now. You know, I'm going to the bathroom in a bucket or squatting behind a tree if I can't get in the park, or the one bathroom stall that's on the corner is taken up.
Is this your lowest point right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hanging in there. I know there's always something that tells me to keep fighting. No, keep going.
Denise, let me ask you one last question. What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
That being alone, you should never wish it. I always say, I wish you guys would just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I'm left alone. It's scary, you know. You can't call mom. You can't call dad.
You're on your own now.
Yeah. 51 years old on my own and don't know nothing.
All right, Denise, thank you so much for sharing your story. I wish you lots of luck out here. Thank you. When I was designing the first Soft White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.